can't be coincidence. It just cannot be coincidence. There's no way that the Reebok line brings out a Tom and Jerry collaboration in the same month that Adidas are bringing out a Mickey Mouse collaboration. That can't happen, surely. That can't just be by chance that two of the biggest animation characters of all time are finding their way onto two of the most popular silhouettes of all time in sneakers. And it makes me just a little bit suspicious about what's going on behind the scenes, because you do have that upcoming release of the Adidas Superstars and Stan Smith. There's 3 of them in there on that collaboration with Mickey Mouse and the Disney line. But here, what we're talking about today is 4 sneakers at least. There might be more, but I know of 4 sneakers that are coming from the Reebok line that are tying up with Tom and Jerry. And we're talking about Club C's. I think there are 2 Club C's. I think there's a Club C Revenge and there's an Instapump. So without further ado, what we'll be doing today is looking at all 4 of those sneakers as we talk about the Reebok collaboration with Tom and Jerry. This is a Tokyo About a 23 Sneaker Channel. Tokyo About a 23 Sneaker Channel des. Mainichi Yapsuno no de. Mainichi Miti Kudasai. Every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And today, we're looking at a tie-up between Tom and Jerry and the Reebok line. And there are 3 different silhouettes, 4 different sneakers, and totally different designs on all of them to look at. So I'm going to try and go through all 4 of those sneakers in today's video, but without dragging it out. So this is not going to get to 20 minutes. I hope. I don't want to talk for 20 minutes. And you don't want to listen for 20 minutes. So let's try and keep this as quick and as fast as possible. But when we are talking about Reebok, we definitely have to drop a little thing for you guys. If you don't know about this, as I didn't know about this, it might sort of, blow your mind. Reebok Yeezys. I did not know that Kanye West had done a collaboration with Reebok and the Reebok Yeezys, but I found out about them when my good friend Shoe Butter sent me a video of 4 pairs of these extremely rare Yeezys, Reebok Yeezys in hand, and a link to that can be found right here. Doing. I did not know about that, and every weekend on a Sunday, Shoe Butter comes to my channel and he brings me a rare pair of sneakers in hand. But to lead up to that, I always do a little game throughout the week to see if you can guess which sneaker it is that we're going to have this week. And yesterday I gave you the hint that it was a LeBron 4 Grail, and today I'm going to give you a hint that it's colourful. So LeBron 4 Grail, colourful. If you can work out what sneaker is coming to the channel on Sunday, hit me up with a comment down below. But putting that all aside, let's get into these sneakers today. These 4 pairs of sneakers. The what did I say? Club C's. I think the 2 Club C's. Club C, I think it's Revenge, and then the Insta Pumps. Now the Club C ones, because all 3 of them are basically the same silhouette. Of course, the Revenge ones, there's a slight difference in there. To be honest, I don't really know much about that, so I'm not able to tell you the different places where they look different. But what we're talking about is 3 different colorways on what looks like predominantly the same silhouette. So we'll go with the first one, which is on its own. Now the other 2 are kind of linked. And I'll tell you about that in a minute. But the first Club C one, and we'll get to the Instapump one later. The first Club C one is on its own. It's on its own because it's primarily pretty much a line drawing sneaker with the design in the upper. It's a line drawing upper on there. And you can see it behind me here, hopefully. I've already put a picture of it up here. And you can see that Tom and Jerry are line drawn throughout that. Now, I want to focus in on the tongue. You can see, hopefully, 2 sneakers here, like a kid's version and a full-size run version. And if we look at on the tongue, what you'll be able to see is either Tom or Jerry on there. And this is my favorite thing about all 4 sneakers. They all have this motif, have the same design element. And it's one of my favorite things in sneakers in general. I love it when sneakers and brands take the time to make the left and the right shoes different. It's super easy for them to churn out the same design on both shoes. The tongue's the same, the upper's the same, the lace is the same, the lace look the same, the same. Of course, it's easier and cheaper for them to do that. So when they're different, I'm like, yay, they took their time on this one. They've made some effort on this one. And the point on these Reeboks that they've made that effort on that I love so very much on all 4 pairs, and we'll get to it with the other 3 as well, is on the tongue. You've got Tom on one tongue and Jerry on the other. And from what I understand, is they're looking at each other. And that's just cool. That's just really, really cool. They've thought about it. They've put a different design on each one of the tongues, and they've made it so they look at each other and talk to each other. I think I'm right in saying, and especially the Club C ones, you've got kind of Jerry sticking his tongue out a bit, sort of going, blowing a raspberry at Tom, and then Tom looking back. So I just love that feature. I think it's a really cool element of the shoe. I think it's really cool that they took the time to go do that for us, because it definitely doesn't help them out in the design part. It's harder, it costs more money to do it. So I really appreciate that about these sneakers. And like I said, it's on all fours, and we'll get to that on the other three as we go through them. Speaking of the other three, let's get into the first of the two similar ones. So we had this standalone line drawing Club C. And now we're going to get into two very similar ones. They're similar in construction, they're similar in design, but they're different in materials. We're going to start off with a sort of tan color upper one, and there are 2 points on there that I want to look at that will then look at the second one and see the commonality between the two. And one is on the midfoot branding. If we zoom in on that behind me here, you can see that the midfoot branding has Tom and Jerry on there in that classic kind of Tom and Jerry colours and font. And that's going to be the same on the other shoe, which we'll get to in a minute. But then if we stay there actually for a second and just focus in on the upper and that clean kind of tan upper in very smooth, uniform leather. I want to get that point, that the leather is smooth and uniform, because when we look at the other one, it's different. And then onto the laces, we have a look at the laces on here, and you can see that they're kind of a fluffy brown color to give that animal fur effect on the laces. And again, that's very important, because when we go over to the other one, which we'll have a look at right now, we can look and then go into that midfoot section there and look at the branding, which is exactly the same on there. But the difference is in the upper materials. You can see the upper materials on these guys is similar to the laces on the previous sneaker in that fluffy kind of furry effect. But they've gone for laces which are not. And I kind of think they're right to do that. I think if you think about those fluffy laces from the second pair that we looked at, if you put them on this sneaker's fluffy upper, it would be just too fluffy. So I think they're right to put a non-kind of, I can't think of any other word than fluffy, moja would be the Japanese word. They've gone with a different lace on these ones here, and I think they're right to do that. Now, I didn't get a chance actually just now to talk about the tongue on the second pair, but we'll look at the tongue here on the third pair, and hopefully you're able to see that that Tom or Jerry motif on there. And I will just quickly flick back to that second pair, because I do want to show you those tongues on there. And that way you get to see on all three pairs of the Club C's, you've got the same basic structure of a sneaker, but different materials on there. And the point of interest for me is on that tongue, which is the same kind of style, but obviously different colours and things like that, and then that motif of Tom and Jerry on the different shoes. Now I'm labouring that point and going on and on and on about it, because when we get to the Instapumps, it's very is the wrong word, because very would mean it's totally different, but it's different in a signature way. So let's go, you know what, let's start in on the pump. So let's have a look at the pump itself, doing, and you can see there that it has, I think this one has Tom on it, and so it's a big departure from the other three sneakers, because the actual structure of the sneaker is different. We're talking about an Instapump, so the tongue element with that big bubble on it to pump up, but this one here I think has Tom on it. So it's different in structure, but still the motif is there, still the idea is there that that you have Tom on one and Jerry on the other. Now, I hopefully have done this in a way that we're zoomed in on the pump, so that you don't get to see what the upper looks like, because when we pan out, you'll get to see what the upper looks like. And I'm going to do that really fast now. And then you get to see the upper behind me, and it's like, whoa, where did that come from? Interesting, Reebok. I don't know if I'd have done that. I mean, recently we've had the Shaq Gnosis, bang, in suede upper, a very smooth suede upper. Loved that shoe, loved reviewing it for the channel. As part of the year of the rat and Chinese New Year and things like that. And it's a beautiful sneaker, very clean. And if you think about that in comparison to this Instapump right here with those grey uppers, similarities, but I think the similarities stop at the colours for sure, and maybe at the materials as well. But these Tom and Jerry, this is very Tom. I'd say that the second and third sneakers with their brown kind of colorway and materials was very Jerry, but this is very, very Tom. And it's interesting. Let's just say it's interesting. I also did the Allen Iverson questions as well, up there recently as well, which is also in a grey suede, same as that Shaqnosis. And it was a real smooth, clean sneaker, really, so I'm yes for the Shaqnosis, I'm yes for the Allen Iverson questions, but I'm not really yes for this Tom Instapump. It's a bit far out for me. Now, I talked in previous videos, and I hope I have links left to do this, and I'm going to go with Batman. I talked in previous video about these Batman sneakers, and there's been another one as well, and I can't remember what it is, it might come to me, but the Batman Converse, I think they were, I talked about how people would pick them off the shelf and looking at them and go, wow, that's cool, and then put them back. It's something you'd look at but not buy, and I think that's kind of the case with these. There might be some people out there that get their hands on them, 1 in a million people, but I just don't see people picking these off the shelf and then actually saying, you know what, I'm going to put my money on the counter and pay for these guys. Interesting to look at. You'll get people like checking them out in the stores and stuff like that, but I'm just not seeing this going into the realms of many people buying them. So apologies, Reebok. It's cool. I like the sneaker. I'm sure lots of people out there will love them. I don't know how popular Tom and Jerry are now in this day and age of instant media and digital media and stuff like that. Maybe they're having a revival of some kind, and kids out there will be like, yeah, I've got to get the Tom and Jerry sneakers. To me, it's more of a flashback to my generation's youth, and I think my generation's youth is unlikely to put their hands in their pockets and pay for a Tom and Jerry inspired pair of sneakers, but I might be wrong, and if I am wrong, I'm wrong. Feel free to tell me about it in the comments down below. For now though, it's time for me to sign off. I hope you enjoyed or appreciated or liked this walk through the 4 different sneakers that are coming. Now, I said at least 4 different sneakers, and the reason I said that was because this is part of a wider release of t-shirts and other apparel and things like that, and there's every chance that there'll be more sneakers out there as well. I've only seen these 4, and there might be more out there as well, and as the weeks and months go by, they might release a few more in this collaboration. But for now, it's those 4 sneakers from me. That's my content for today, but as I do this every single day, that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.